Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to our morning ritual. All right, here we go. I'm live on Facebook now, too. The multitasking. So, welcome. I'm Casey. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to our morning ritual. So, this is really just a time where once a week we get to come together and start our days off with intention. And most of you already know my spiel, but I work with a lot of people in the transformational space, and I find, and I work with a lot of people in the yoga space, and I have found through all of my years of doing this that we have so many rules attached to what this should look like, and what meditation should look like, and what it looks like to connect with yourself. And what I have found is that people have become so accustomed to checking off the box, but then we just check off the box and it doesn't really touch us. It doesn't really mean as much to us as it could if we maybe just discarded some of those rules and made it work for us in a way that it really touches us individually and affects and changes the way we show up throughout the day. So here on these Wednesday mornings, we're here to sort of ditch all the rules and just make it mean something to you. And so that's what I aim to provide for you, is information and practices that you can either begin or incorporate into your everyday routine or your 3 times a week routine, and that these practices might really touch you and change you as you do them again and again and again and again. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being willing to open yourself up to new ways of being. Thank you. So before we get started, I'm going to light a candle. And if you have anything similar in your space, like a beautiful candle or maybe some sage or Palo Santo or just anything that kind of marks this as like a sacred time together and is something that is special to you, I would encourage you to do that now. And then I would encourage you to get your journal, and we're going to talk for a little while, and then in the top half and then in the back half we're going to do some practices. I've got a kriya for us and a meditation that we're actually going to do kind of twice. So we're going to meditate, kriya, meditate. So today we're talking about calling in your truest self, calling in your highest self. And there's a million different takes on this, and in a half hour I'm only going to bring you just one porthole into this exploration. But today we're going to explore calling in your highest self by first sort of displacing or releasing or letting go the parts of you that are getting in the way from that highest self to come in. So before I jump in, let's just pause, and wherever you are, let's just take some deep breaths and get centered to start. So I'm going to go ahead and put one hand on my heart and one hand on my belly because that's what feels good to me. And I'm going to close my eyes because that feels safe. And so if it feels safe, I encourage you to open your mouth, exhale. Do that again. Inhale fully, richly, deeply. Allow yourself to expand. Open mouth, surrender it all, let it go. Once more, inhale all the way to the depths. Open your mouth, send it out. Just linger here for a few moments. Trust that since you find yourself in this space right here, right now, that this is exactly where you're meant to be. Trust that whatever it is that we speak about today, whatever it is that you receive, know that it is for you, that it's meant for you in some way, and that all of this is meant to uplift you, to change you, to grow you, and to give you more skills, awareness, and power to move your life in the direction that you want to go. Yeah, let's take one more big breath in here to seal in our intention. Big open mouth exhale. All right, my friends. So let's talk a little bit about your truest self and what stands in the way of you becoming that person. Really, I've been in the yoga space for so long. Okay, I turned 45 next month. I started teaching when I was about 25, so that's 20 years of teaching. And I started practicing when I was about 20, so that's 25 years, right, of practice. And if I had a dollar for every time the teacher said, let go of that which does not serve, I'd probably be a millionaire because I've heard it so many times. And to be perfectly honest, and this might sound a little judgmental, like every time I've heard that up until like maybe the past year or so, I just sort of like scoff on the inside and I kind of just roll my eyes on the inside because I'm like, let go of that which doesn't serve. If I knew how to do that, I would have done it so long ago. Believe you me. So how do I do that? What does that mean? What does that look like? And so for me, it's become this kind of like, well, like, yeah, no shit, right? And that's just me being totally honest. But now, here in like the past year or maybe two of my life, I'm finally getting present to what that really means. And it's some of it is passive and some of it is just this like overall sensation of being willing to let go and allow and not be attached. But really, it's an active process of understanding the parts inside of me that are holding me back and being willing to actively let them go again and again and again. We have these things in our mind. I hear this in the yoga studio a lot these days of like, I thought I already dealt with this. I thought I already fixed this. I thought I was done with this. I thought I was over this. And so we have these expectations in our mind that like once we have an awareness of something that should just be done. Or like once we like make one move to quote unquote fix something, that it like should never come back to us ever again. But really, like a lot of these behaviors, and I'm going to give you a list of some things that I'm talking about in a little bit, inherited, and a lot of these things are generational and they're cyclical, and we've been doing these things for so long and seeing the world this way for so long that they become part of our personality, part of who we are, and then part of the story that we're participating in and believing in and writing for our lives. So really, like, it makes a lot of sense to me that this isn't a one and done process, and that we shouldn't really expect it to be, and that there's actually joy in like letting go in one way and then growing and shifting and changing and realizing that you can let go of that same thing even more deeply in another area of your life. And that doesn't mean that you're stepping backwards or that you didn't do it right the first time. It just means that you're growing and expanding and that you're human, and all of these things are multifaceted and multi-layered. And it's actually like a beautiful thing when you're like, oh, here this is again in my relationship. Here this is again at work. Like, look at all these opportunities I have to heal this thing really for good for myself. Anyway, so this really what we're talking about today is the intentional practice of letting go of that which person that you wish had existed when you were trying to make your change. So I guess for me, it's like this cliche phrase that I've heard a million trillion times in my career. It's like, I guess maybe I'm trying to give you the how of how to do that. The heaviest cry recently, it's like my body physically was finally ready to let go. I realized it had to take a couple years, so much growth in it. So beautiful, Kimmy. Yes, and it's like that miner in the tunnel that you see that cartoon, you know what I'm talking about? And you see that he's almost close to the jewel and he like throws his pickaxe over his shoulder and he walks away because he's like, it's not working, right? But if we just stay and keep going, our healing will be complete. And sometimes our minds get in the way of that with these expectations that we have that it should just be clean and simple and easy and cut and dry. Really, most things in life aren't like that because we aren't like that, right? Like, we are more dynamic. We have to give ourselves more credit for the way that we're wired. And then when we make behavior change or pattern change, we have to realize that we have to address that change on all those different layers and facets, not just the one and done. So as we the question that I would really ask for you, and you might jot this down in your journal, is what are the main rules of your life, right? What are the rules that you live your life by, right? And like some questions that you could ask yourself are, where do they come from, right? So you may have learned these rules from your parents or from your grandparents or from your family in another way. You may have learned these from your religion. You may have learned these rules of your life from a movie or from a TV show or from something like that. Um, you may have learned this from a group of friends or the way you saw other people relate. So when you consider the rules of your life, where do they come from? Who gave them to you? When did you agree to them? And what would it be like to change your mind? All right. So I'll say those again. The rules of your life, where do they come from? Who gave them to you? And we're not assuming that these things are wrong. We're looking under the here. Okay, so let me finish. Who gave them to you? When did you agree to them? And what would it be like to change your mind? So let me see if I can explain this succinctly. Like we can either like change the action or we can change the thoughts that lead to the action, right? And in order, like we can change the action, but that's mostly willpower if we don't change the root of what's causing the action. Okay, so then if you want to look at what's causing the action, you have to examine your filter. And so oftentimes it's not enough to examine the thought, you have to examine the filter that you're looking at the thought through. Does that make sense? And these are all inherited. These are all like the lenses that we look through the world, look at the world through. So just examining them, calling them into question again, not necessarily that they're bad or wrong, but just asking the question is like, is this working for me? If it isn't, gee, do I have permission to change this? If I haven't considered changing it before, why not? And what would it of your life, so to speak, and kind of examining these rules that you've made for yourself and wondering, where did they come from? Do I still want to be living my life according to these rules? So when I think about this for myself and for the clients that I work with, here's some examples of the things that I'm talking about that they might be direct parallels to your life, or they might just open a door, a porthole for you to be like, oh, it's not this, but it's something like this. So emotions, habitual emotions. So, do you have a tendency to go into a victim mode? Like, oh, see, life is so hard. Oh, yep, see, nothing ever works out for me. Yep, see, I told you I was going to do all the work and nothing good was going to happen. So, that type of lens, that victimhood type of lens, is that something that, are those types of thoughts, do you have those regularly? And if so, where did you learn that? When did you start thinking that way? And what would happen if you chose to believe something different? Okay, so like a victim mentality. And other emotions can pop up too. The one that really comes up for me is guilt. I have a lot of clients that really struggle with guilt. The guilt is a funny thing. Guilt actually indicates that you're living your life according to other people's rules. So if you're a person who finds themselves in guilt all the time, do you think it might be time to examine, well, what rules am I living my life by that don't actually fit for me anymore, which is why I'm having this guilty sensation, right? Do you see what I'm saying? So, we can look at like if I'm or resentment, like if I'm always in resentment or I'm always in frustration, where does that come from? And what do I need to change from the source to be able to change that response, that living in guilt, living in frustration, living in anger, um, reroute that to a different pattern. So shame can be the same way. Um, Something else that I see a lot is the habit of defensiveness, right? Defensiveness is our need to protect ourselves and also our need to be right. So, if someone tries to talk to you about something and your immediate reaction is to defend yourself and to make the other person wrong, right? How is this defensive reflex preventing you from really understanding the people in your life, as opposed to kind of creating a right, wrong, good, bad, superior, inferior situation. So, in my mind, like the habitual practice of guilt means that you're constantly feeling badly about the way you're living your life. And I'm here to say that if you're constantly feeling badly about the way that you're living your life, that constant bad feeling is occupying your cells. It's occupying your energy, it's occupying your mind space, and it's occupying your body somatically. And so, if you're habitually in that guilty response, there is physically and emotionally and energetically not room, there isn't available space for joy to come in, for hope to come in, right? And it's not saying that we're like not complex beings that can't feel multiple emotions at the same time. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if part of your identity is to feel guilty, if is to be in a victim stance, what I'm here to say is that if you don't examine those parts of yourself and allow them to evolve and change and heal and grow, chances are they're going to take up too much space for you to be able to welcome in the thing that you want. And as humans, we have this thing where we're like, I'll change as long as you show me the other way first. Show me the other way first. Show me how to do it. Show me, guarantee me that it's going to work. And then I'll let go of this old way of being. But that's not how transformation works. It's the exact opposite. It's, I don't know where this is going. I don't know where this is headed. I don't know if there's any guarantees that I'm going to get it right, but I'm sure willing to try. And it's the trying and the starting and the beginning and the willingness to open your grip and to do things differently that then in turn creates the space for you to receive the answers that you were seeking in the first place. So just notice, like, what are the records on repeat playing through your head? What are the records on repeat playing through your heart? What are the emotions that you're experiencing? And if they're not things that serve you, what would it take to let go of those things or to update those things so that you can start to create more of what you desire instead? So for me, and you know this if you've worked with me as a client, is that we start where we are and then we want to get where we're going, but it's usually not effective to jump from point A to point B, right? Because there's all these thoughts, feelings, behaviors going on at point B. And if we just take all of those and dump them at point A rather, and if we just take all that same stuff and dump it at point B, chances are we're just going to slide back, right? So we have to kind of walk our way out of point A and take it step by step and build it so that when you get to point B, you actually have the skills and the part of your identity to stay there and to integrate it, to embody it. So really the way out of the undesirable places in your life that you might find yourself now is to work towards neutral, right? So how can I just feel better about this? I don't have the coin. I don't have to completely, like, if it's one way, I don't have to find the complete opposite. I just have to start to walk my way out of it more towards neutral. So it could be something like, good morning. It could be something like towards acceptance or towards neutrality or towards peace or towards harmony. So those could be like, if you're maybe you don't go from guilt to joy, right? Or guilt to self-love. Maybe you go from guilt to acceptance and then you work towards self-love. Okay? So again, you can ask me deeper questions if there's anything else anyone would like to share. How does this affect you? What's coming up for you? What patterns are you noticing that no longer serve you, that might be standing in the way of your highest self? If there's anything coming up for you, I'd love for you to share if you feel comfortable. So hopefully you've jotted some things down in your journal. What are the rules that you live your life? Where did you learn them from? From your family, friends, from an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, like really, like where did they come from? Go to the source and then decide, is that still like an authoritative body for you, right? And if it isn't, permission to shift. Who gave them to you? When did you agree to them? What would it be like if you didn't agree anymore? And what would that change for you? Okay. So if there's anything coming up for you, I'd love for you to drop it in the chat. I'm happy to answer your questions. And let's move on to letting our bodies kind of excavate this a little bit. So we're going to take a 3, 6, 9 minutes. We've got about 10 minutes left, I would say. And we're going to take Bala meditation. So we'll do this for 3 minutes. This is one of my favorite meditations. You take your hands together, palms touch, and wrap your fingers around. So it's like, I always, with this one, I love to say that you're holding hands with your brother and not your boyfriend, right? And then you put all of this at your heart and then let your elbows come out to the sides and then really drive your hands together to really press out the negative space between your hands. Okay, so with that being said, my friends, from that position, roll your shoulders up, back, and down. Again, roll them up, back, and down. So then tuck your chin in towards your chest just a little bit. Soften your eyes to close if you wish, and breathe in and out through your nose. This is called Bala meditation. This is a meditation to literally eradicate anything that no longer belongs to you. Anything that has become outdated or expired. Let it just be displaced through the pressure now between your hands. So press between your hands, draw your awareness there. Keep breathing and just minimize, shrink, smash, eradicate, again, anything that no longer serves. Keep going. Keep going, keep breathing. This Bala meditation reinforces the energy that I can do this. This meditation helps us inside to create inner resolve, to be more centered, to experience the infinite potential of being you. So everything that is really you, ask it to come to the forefront now. Everything that is pure, everything that is true, everything that is good, and everything that holds you back. Not with your mind, but in the intention between your hands. Just ask that it be gone. Experience this as it feels, creates more centering, integrating, and grounding energy. Use this to muster up all of your internal resources. Going. Take one more full breath in. And an open mouth exhale. Go ahead and release into receptivity pose. Just turn your palms up to the sky. Eyes can be open and closed. Just allow yourself a few moments here, not to figure anything out or mentally evaluate, but just to be and to receive any energetic or otherwise downloads that might be available for you. We're moving on to a kriya called swayam. It's a mantra kriya. So if you've got people in your So I encourage you to do so wherever you are. My boyfriend's got his noise canceling headphones on in the next room, but guaranteed he's really going to hear what's about ready to happen. So this mantra kriya means that we use mantra, so the chanting. So please know in yoga, whenever you chant, there's never anything harmful. You're not praying to some other god or evoking any sort of like deity. When we chant in yoga, we use what's called bija mantra sounds, bija sounds. And these bija sounds are the primordial sounds of the universe. And in Kriya, when we put them together in different kind of concoctions and then we match the chant with our body in a particular way, we're calling energy into our systems in a very pointed way. But it's not a deity, it's not anything that could ever be harmful. So I just want you to know that. So what we'll do is we'll sit up with hands crossed on your shoulders and elbows point straight out, okay? And then we chant together, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare. All right? And it's a big Hare. Quickly and pump your navel as you chant Hare. And so it's Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare. Okay, so that's kind of what it's going to sound like. And the intention of this kriya is to recognize that everything belongs to eternity, right? That nothing really belongs to us, that that's part of this whole cosmic beautiful plan. Again, this kriya activates the deep resolve within. And here's another point that I want to draw to this kriya that I think is so beautiful, but just hear me out on all of this. Really, the meaning of the mantra, and I actually find myself getting emotional, is that nothing belongs to me, no one belongs to me, and I belong to no one. And like if you've got religious connotations or if you're married or whatever, please know that it's not like, you don't belong to your partner or whatever. Like that's not what it means. What it means is that ultimately we are each sovereign beings and that we're responsible for our own selves, right? And that we are here to live our lives on our path and to kind of take responsibility for that. And like no one belongs to me and I belong to no one. And so I chose this today, that the rules that you might be following from other people's expectations outside of you. So that we would say, I belong to myself and this is my path and I own it. And so I'm making decisions that move me in the direction that I want to go. Okay, so I'll stop talking because we all know that I could just do that forever, and we will go. Ready? Begin. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare. You can keep your eyes closed or open. You can focus them on the tip of your nose or even third eye chakra. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare. 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 Hare. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, 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 Hare. I belong to no one. No one belongs to me. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare. 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 Harinam, 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 Hare. 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 Last one. Harinam, 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 Hare. Release, receptivity pose. Just be. Nothing to figure out, nothing to solve. As you're ready, blink your eyes open. That one made me sweaty there for a bit, so I had to take my sweater off, but now I'm cold again. So just notice what came up for you right there. I belong to no one. No one belongs to me. What does it feel like to invoke freedom of that manner? Let's come back into Bala meditation just for a couple of moments to finish. And I know I've got some questions that I'll answer in the chat. Place your palms together to touch. I'll be quite quiet, hopefully, this time. Again, just eradicate anything between your palms that doesn't belong to you any longer. Anything that you've outgrown, anything that you've out-evolved, anything that you've been trying and beating your head against and doesn't work anymore. Just push it out. Let it go. Take one more full breath in. One more full breath out. Receptivity pose. Just be available. Turn your palms up. As you're ready, blink your eyes open. Amazing work today, my friends. So part of calling in your highest self is actively letting go of the pieces that prevent you from becoming that person, right? Something that came up for me when we were doing that Kriya was, when I was raised in a Christian home, and Facebook memories are funny. I look at my Facebook memories every day, and it's kind of wild to see what I posted 9 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. But it came up for me the other day that I had shared a post from Joel Osteen, and he said God will heal your thoughts. God will heal your feelings. God will heal your life. And that message might work for some people, but that message never worked for me because then I was living in this posture that some other being was going to come in and complete this work for me. And so when I was in the Christian experience, I didn't ever receive the skills to actually heal my own thoughts, heal my own feelings, heal my own life, or to partner with God to do those things. And so, my intention by offering you these kriyas, these mantras, these skills, these tools is that you wouldn't just like think about these things like a pie in the sky and like cross your fingers or pray and hope that they happen, but that you would actually have the skills to experience shifts somatically, physically, spiritually, energetically, and mentally. So perhaps some of the tools that I gave you today, no matter what your faith, your tradition, your religion, can help you to kind of connect those dots for yourself in some way, shape, or form. Awesome. Kimmy, thank you so much for being here. It really meant a lot to have you. Okay. Is this maybe Vanessa? I can't tell by your handle exactly what your name is, but the thought of baby steps. I get overwhelmed when I think I have to be perfect. That's so huge. And can you speak on some writing, journaling, or mantras that you do to remove yourself out of overwhelm into progression? So that's a wonderful question. So perfectionism is a big deal. So when you look at these rules of your life, what you've inherited, perfectionism could probably be a big one on this list for a lot of people. So thank you so much for bringing that up. So if you find yourself going into perfectionism a lot, or if perfectionism is one of the rules that you live your life by, it makes sense to me that overwhelm would be your body's habitual. When we were talking about pressure and overwhelm, that she said she felt like a thermometer and she could feel the heat rise and fall inside of her body. Isn't that so amazing? I love her awareness. What does it feel like to you when you get overwhelmed? Because that's much like confusion when we say, I don't know what to do. I don't know the answer. Overwhelm is sort of the same thing that our brain does to kind of keep us safe. Like, oh, it's just too much. I'm done. Fuck it, right? Excuse me, pardon my language. But that's what the brain does, is it's like, nope, we've had enough. Can't do it. So overwhelm and confusion can be the body's or the brain's response to something like perfectionism. So to unweave that, if you'd like some prompts or some mantras to progress your way out of that, it would be to build the belief that you trust yourself, that you're doing exactly enough to get where you're going, and also perhaps that you believe that good enough will get you where you're going instead of being perfect. So I have a lot of clients that I work with perfectionism, and we do a lot of building belief around what is good enough as opposed to being perfect. And then what was the other thing that I said? Good enough. Oh, and then good enough and self-trust, right? Trusting that trusting that you will get done what needs to be done, but then also trusting that what you do get done is enough. So, like, if you just trust yourself that you can get everything done, that still puts you in this pressure to get everything done. But if you trust that what you do is enough and what you do is actually perfect, or what you do is good enough, and good enough is enough to lead you where you want to go, perfectionism isn't required to lead you where you want to go. I feel like I'm just being really confusing right now. But that's sort of the direction that I would have you head towards. So a mantra, so if you were going to journal on this, I would say, what does perfect look like? And what does good enough look like? And then any resistance that you have to delivering a good enough product, anything that comes up on your way to being okay with good enough, that is the work for you to uncover, right? Those are the things for you to learn to sit with, to learn to show yourself compassion for, to learn to show yourself grace, and to actively practice those things. So when you make change, resistance will come up. And a lot of times we're like, oh, see, told you this wasn't going to work. But resistance is actually a good thing. We want resistance to reveal itself to us because it shows us our opportunities to embody the thing that we're working towards. So resistance, don't shy away from it. Look into it and say what else, where are my opportunities to really embody this. Okay, my friends, may you continue to actively let go of that which does not serve you. May we all really understand what that means for us right here, right now. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to reach out in the chat. If you'd like to continue this conversation, DM me and we'll keep the conversation going. Um, if you'd like to continue to work with me this is a free offering that I have every week that I do this morning ritual. And then I also have one-on-one coaching clients that I work with for mostly 6 months at a time. This month I'm soft launching my EFT hypnosis and neuroenergetic encoding modalities. So if those practices, they're super transformative, super integrative embodiment practices, so powerful. And then what's the other thing? Oh, and then tonight I'm doing a live yoga plus EFT tapping experience. It's a Feel It to Heal It yoga class. It's $15. The link is on all my channels. Please sign up, join us tonight. It's from 6 to 7:30 Central. I can't wait to be with you. So I love you all so much. I hope that your day is better because you showed up here this morning. I'm with you. I'm in your corner, and I wish you all the best. Have a happy Wednesday. Love you so much. Namaste.